Niacin used to be the darling of cardiology, a low-cost, over-the-counter vitamin that not only lowered LDL cholesterol and raised HDL but also, according to early data, seemed to slash cardiovascular events. It was the kind of molecule that made clinicians feel like magicians. Take this humble B3 vitamin, they said, and watch your lipids do a polite little dance back into ideal ranges. It was a golden era for niacin, celebrated in textbooks, prescribed in grams, and flushed about the face, literally, thanks to its notorious side effect. But as with all stories involving too much love and too many milligrams, things got complicated. And not in a small way. The niacin paradox is the modern tale of a nutrient-turned-drug-turned-suspect. On paper, niacin does all the right things. It improves lipid profiles, boosts HDL like no statin can, and reduces lipoprotein, that stubbornly independent risk factor that few drugs know how to touch. And yet, large clinical trials like AM-HI and HPS-2 thrive through cold water on the whole thing. Patients taking high-dose niacin didn't have fewer heart attacks or strokes. In fact, some had worse outcomes. It's as if niacin perfected its cholesterol choreography, but somewhere backstage, another act was quietly setting the curtains on fire. That act, as it turns out, involves metabolites, for PY and methyl, for pyridone 3 carboxamide and 2-PY and methyl 2 pyridone 5 carboxamide. These are not household names, nor are they going to win any popularity contests among cardiologists. But they're key players in the darker side of niacin metabolism. When you take high doses of niacin, your body metabolizes the excess through a methylation process, producing these pyridone byproducts. These molecules accumulate in tissues, particularly in the kidneys, and recent studies suggest they may act as low-grade inflammatory mediators. Think of them as the biochemical smoke from burning too much vitamin B3 in the metabolic fireplace. It warms you at first, then quietly chokes your chimney. Emerging research links elevated 2-PY and 4-PY levels with increased oxidative stress, endothelial dysfunction, and even suppression of certain DNA repair enzymes. Some animal models and in vitro studies suggest these metabolites may impair kidney function or enhance inflammatory signaling pathways, exactly the opposite of what we want in a molecule that's supposed to protect the heart. In other words, while niacin is winning the lipid battle, it may be losing the inflammation war. This is especially problematic in individuals with reduced kidney function. Since 2-PY and 4-PY are primarily excreted via the kidneys, their accumulation in chronic kidney disease patients can potentially lead to a toxic loop. More niacin leads to more pyridones, which lead to more inflammation and more renal stress, which reduces excretion, which leads to, you guessed it, even more pyridones. It's the nutritional equivalent of trying to put out a fire with gasoline. But let's be clear, this doesn't mean niacin is bad in all contexts. At physiological doses, what you'd find in a balanced diet or a low-dose multivitamin, it supports NAD+ synthesis, energy metabolism, and cellular repair. It's still a vital nutrient. But when we crank up the dosage into pharmacological ranges, particularly beyond 1 gram per day, we stop using niacin as a vitamin and start treating it like a drug, with all the side effects and systemic baggage that come with that shift. It's a classic case of more is not better, and a reminder that vitamins, while essential, exist on a dose-response curve shaped like a gentle hill, not a vertical cliff. Past a certain threshold, the risks start to catch up with the rewards, and niacin's story illustrates this beautifully, if a bit tragically. Where does this leave us in terms of cardiovascular strategy? Likely with a bit more nuance. We now understand that cholesterol management isn't just about numbers on a lab report, it's also about what's happening beneath the surface: inflammatory pathways, mitochondrial balance, and endothelial function. A supplement that improves one biomarker but worsens another can be like tightening one screw while loosening another, impressive in isolation, but problematic as a system. This is also a strong argument for personalized nutrition and pharmacology. Some individuals, particularly those with high LP, niacin deficiencies, or unique genetic polymorphisms, may still benefit from carefully titrated niacin therapy. But mass, population-wide high-dose niacin use in the hopes of universal cardiovascular salvation? That chapter may be closed. So, the niacin paradox isn't just a cautionary tale, it's a blueprint for how we think about nutrients in the age of precision health. Instead of asking, what does this vitamin do? We're now asking in whom, under what conditions, and at what dose does this vitamin help or hurt? It's less dramatic than niacin's original rise to stardom, perhaps, but far more sustainable. And honestly, probably better for your kidneys.